Hello, friends. Welcome to Build and Run. This is a real VR podcast for Unity developers, and we are in a bit of a time warp. We actually are technically trying to extend the last 25 minutes episode where we are at Staten Island Makerspace in New York as part of NYC VR University. Everybody say hi to your future selves. And you have the privilege of being part of a very special community of not just makers, but VR makers. And what we're doing here is teaching you how to develop VR here and now and together. So we are all here together learning VR, making VR, and now you're here with us. So thank you. This and every other episode is brought to you by vrvu.com, the place where you need to go for VR development. If you want to get some VR made, that is VR, AR, 360, basically any of that very cutting edge stuff, and you want to be treated as if there is time for you, as if your project is possible. Go to vrvu.com and that's what you'll receive. So we are now actually just build and run. We hit the magic button of Unity. We hit build and run on this scene, a very simple scene where we took a free asset and a free Google Cardboard SDK prefab, dropped it in there, drag and dropped it right there, and now we have...
What's it do, Rex?
What does it do? It doesn't do that much yet. It's actually slightly broken because there's a setting that we should set. Yeah, there's in VR. So any other app, right? You want the screen to rotate according to how you're holding it, right? If you're in VR and you rotate this, if you look like this, you know, if you're not sure what you're seeing and you go like this, and the screen rotates like that, that'd be a horrible experience. So we need to stop that. We need to not have that happen. That is not comfortable for VR. So what we do is go into build settings. We're still screen recording, so that works out well. The same screen recording for last episode will serve as the screen recording for this episode. Just fast forward 25 minutes and here we are, synced up. It's going to ask us where we want to build and run to. We're going to just look at player settings. The first settings is resolution and presentation. Instead of auto rotation, I'm going to go landscape left because that's how the phone is going to be viewed. And that's it. I'm going to build and run one more time just to get you the idea of what this is going to look like. And this is the very basic, the very elementary VR app. So when you look at a VR app, what it does is it allows you to move your camera, move your head naturally through the control, not a controller that you were used to, not the controller of the 80s and 90s where you have this plastic case of buttons. Exactly, right? Controller. This plastic controller, a controller that's a plastic controller that you use to control, but basically it is this little bit of plastic that houses some buttons, and it has a cord, and then you have to have an instruction manual where say button A is to jump, and button B is to run faster. And VR, babies know how to use VR with no manual, no extra piece of plastic, no cords, no cables, no anything. VR works on gaze control. It works on, if I look somewhere, that is what I'm doing. This is how I'm interacting with the space. So, as it builds and runs, and the beauty of build and run is that not only does it build it for you, not only does it compile this incredibly intricate program, it also sends it onto my phone, and it runs it. I don't know why I didn't start it, but it would have started it. And this is what it would look like. This is ready for your cardboard viewer. And here you can see as I move, as I look up, it's going to look up. As I look down, it's going to see the bottom. And this way you can, it's tracking what my head would be doing. So if I throw this on and throw this in here, it would be fully accurate. And that is VR in its very most elementary form. So we can take this and we can start developing. We can start building out scenes.
The reason why that's happening is because there's a gyroscope in your phone. Every phone has one. It has that other sensor. And actually what the gear does is that it has a gyroscope in the gear housing unit and in the phone, which causes more smoother tracking. So that's all it's doing is tracking the gyroscope position and then the internal camera.
Yes. You don't need to even know all that, even though that is incredible. Like, it's magic. It's literally, you hit a button. There's so much behind the scenes. There's so much that your phone is doing. There's so much that Unity is utilizing. There's so much computation and work that you don't even have to worry about. You know, it's almost like if you don't have to sew your own clothes. You go to the store and you buy a shirt that's already, you know your size, you know how it works. That's it. But this is how you make VR. You don't have to know that there are accelerometers and gyroscopes inside your phone that allow this. You just build and run. Drag and drop, build and run. That's it. That's it's not much more to it. And what we're gonna do is I want to import a package. Now, one of the best packages you will ever buy, especially because it's free, right? The best free package you will ever buy is called Unity Standard Assets. There are two standard asset packages. They both work. This is the one that I like, 1.1. I'm pretty sure I'm actually importing this 1.01. They both work magically, and they are so much free stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys like free stuff. It's hard not to, right? It's like, well, why not? And this is not like free stuff that will clean up your house, and then, you know, your significant other will be screaming at you every day of like, why don't you clean up this free stuff that you accumulated? No, this is free stuff that is 100% digital, and it's not going to accumulate in your house. It is going to give you the ability to make VR without the work. And that's what we should all, you know, without the work, without the hard part. So this already has installed or has downloaded. And what it really asks me there is this importing an entire scene. So this may change some of the settings. I might have to change the settings back. They might even like rename the icon to something. Well, we'll change that. We all know how to do that now, as we've seen in the build settings. And for what it gives you, we could have said we don't want these certain components, but I want all of it. It is so much good stuff that you are just overwhelmed with gratitude and happiness, because you'll see. I mean, it's if I had showed you how to make any one of these assets from scratch, including just this Unity Chan model from scratch, you would have. You know, you would need a vial of aspirin and Advil and Aleve, maybe some heavier painkillers. You would need some beers. You would need a few weeks, you know, and food involved and the accommodations. We don't have that time. But sir, a question in the back.
We're looking to customize the avatar.
100%. This actually, the Unity Chan comes with 4 or 5 different Unity Chans. This is a Unity Chan sounds so, I was saying it so arbitrarily.
Trying to put somebody's face there.
100%. You could put your face there. Yeah, and so WinVR, there are different ways of doing things. There is what's called phototelemetry. I believe that's what it's called. That is what it's called. And there is, you know what? I'll just show you. Why tell you? Why not show you the future of virtual reality? So we'll go to the internet, right? The internet is the future of communication. And that is where we find stuff, right? And if I type the word structure, I'm not showing you the internet, all right? You guys don't even know the internet. That's not what I'm showing you. But I'm showing you that I'm exiting Unity. I'm literally leaving the place where I'm making VR because it's loading in the background, which is good. You've never seen the internet. Dude, you're going to love it.
I live under a rock. Come on, don't discriminate.
So, if you Google this, structure sensor,
One punch man.
you will get your first hit should be structure sensor. No, structure.io. This is a company that has had a Kickstarter a little while ago. Quiet now, you. Oh, look at that audio. Jesus. Yeah, we don't need all this. We don't need to be sales pitched here. So I'm gonna turn that down. I'll pitch you myself. This right here is the way. Sir, if you want to have, or no, sirs and ma'ams, everybody, if you want to be in VR, right, and not just make VR that somebody else has. If you want to be in VR, you buy one of these or something similar. This is the most cutting edge right now. It is the same thing. This is a lot more accurate because of one piece of software.
There's dedicated hardware.
It is. So yeah, what Evan's talking about is there's a tablet called the Google Tango, and we'll be discussing that in the sessions, that has the type of sensors, mostly depth perception, where you can walk around in a space like this and swing your iPad around, just like that, and you can capture 3D objects, have them scanned, basically have them available, not just for 3D printing, but also for VR, for 3D VR in Unity.
And there's utilities out there that when you scan the model, it will optimize the mesh, because it's all about reducing triangle count. It'll render out the texture, because it also records the texture, apply it to your model, very process efficient.
And that is one of the most valuable things on earth is anybody can make VR. Anybody can, you can see drag and drop. I just drag and drop, and everybody can drag and drop. It's not hard.
You too can Kamehameha.
But what Evan's talking about is what separates an amateur VR developer from an experienced one. It is, I'm just pointing in your general direction, so I'm actually referring to the items behind you on the shelf that are the experienced Unity. But no, really what it comes down to is, as you develop your skill, as you hone your craft, the part that you need to hone most of all is optimization. What you'll find very quickly in VR is you'll throw one model in there, oh, this works great. Let me throw in some more. So you throw in like 30 models, all of a sudden you're vomiting every time you put on your headset. Exactly. And it's very simply just learning that everything has a limitation. All of your hardware has a limitation in terms of memory, processing power, graphics power, and to what we develop in VR is not just the scene, but it is developing for that specific hardware. And that's what these courses will really go into.
Sorry.
No worries. Perfect. But it is developing, as Evan said, for optimizing, for making an experience that actually works across devices.
Because like you're developing for old age phones again. It's kind of like we've reset the developer button. It used to be so easy to get into the developer space of a phone because you didn't have to worry so much about the quality of the assets, more the quality of the experience. And that's where VR is at. It's really easy to get into because you don't need to worry about the quality of the assets so much as the quality of the experience. So you can have like a low poly water scene where you see the triangles of the waves just come on up. And as long as you make the experience where it's engaging the user enough, that's all you have to have.
I didn't mean to interrupt you with that engine sound, but absolutely. That is words of pure wisdom. You will, and it's a learning experience. Nobody is born with VR abilities. We're born with the VR consumption abilities. We can move our heads, right? That's, babies know how to do that. Babies are the best. Babies are what inspire us all, because we are now...
Is that the baby year?
We actually have a whole session of just babies coming in. You guys will have to leave in 20 minutes, and we're only teaching babies. So now what I've done here is, as I've imported, remember this standard assets for Unity? I clicked this and import, download, import, download, import. 2 buttons, right? 2 clicks of a button. Barely even a calorie expended with my finger. And what that does is you look right into my assets folder. That puts the sample assets folder into my assets. So now I have my scene. I can now have more assets to put on it. I can be like, it started out with just one model and one camera. And now I have everything I could ever imagine. You have cars, planes, trains, automobiles. Mind-blowing this. Characters. You have first-person controllers. You have anything you could ever imagine. And what I just drilled down. So I open this folder. I look a little bit down, and I see there's the familiar magic. Yes. So you go right into sample scenes and prefabs, familiar prefabs, right? And I look into scenes, and right in scenes you'll see car AI or car. What is this? Car waypoint based. Car AI waypoint based. This allows me to load up this scene right here. And what this does is it brings in a car, fully modeled, with sound, with control, and even autopilot. This is like the Knight Rider car where you could just hit play. And look at that. No, I don't really make the sounds. Oh, look at that. Look at the. Oh, this is.
So you could essentially make your wavelengths of your VR tool kind of like this, where you bring the user on the path, you can have objects that are on the path to engage the user. It's kind of like the pathing systems here. You don't need to use the model, but the pathing system is there for you.
So as you can see, it goes on and on like this. But that is magic. To make this from scratch. Good luck. To download and to double click and to drag and drop. Well, battle luck? Whatever. Easy, much easier. You don't even need luck. You don't need anything. It's a drag and drop. So I want to make this into VR. This is a great game. I can hit build and run right now and look at my phone and you'll have this car drive around. Very cool.
Let's try it.
We can, but since time is limited, we can all try this. We can all do what I've just done and hit build and run. And I will, sir, I will.
All
But
at the
first-
comfort of your own home.
Yes. First, what I'll do is I will click on cameras. And if I click on the cameras here in the hierarchy panel and I hit F, that will zoom me right into my camera. It doesn't seem to help me very
How many
much.
cameras do we have here?
It's a little too many cameras. Let's not worry about that. Let's go right into the waypoint-based car. And there I am. Look at that. There's the car. Camera focus point. So there's a bunch of cameras here. There's a bunch of camera. This is a very complex scene that they've actually created for us. There's smoke, there's burnout smoke, there's headlights, there's brake lights, all this stuff. I don't have to worry about that right now. I don't want to make it very complex. I just want to make it VR. And the way we make VR is we drag and drop. I mean, there's more to it than that. But if I want to...
You click the button, right?
Yeah, I can click the button. It's even easier. Even easier than drag and drop. You can just click the button. But since we're doing cardboard, since we're using essentially primitive technology, we'll use cardboard. And this button, this checkbox, the next production version of Unity will support cardboard natively. So that button will work without us having to download the cardboard. But you want to know how we did it back in the day? You know, when your grandchildren will ask us, how did you make VR without the checkbox? And you will say, oh, we downloaded it, and you know. So absolutely, go right into the cardboard, the same way we did last time. We go right into the prefabs, find cardboard main, and I'm going to drag it on top of this car, right? And what that's going to do, if I do it correctly, is it's going to nest it in here. And Unity has this thing called the parent-child relationship. Speaking of babies, right? This is the baby. The way babies are made in Unity. It's not at all like it's in the real world, so don't worry about it. But basically, in Unity, you make a baby by dragging it on top of something. And therefore, that thing that you drag it on top of becomes its parent. That is very important because the child of an object will move, rotate, and transform, do a bunch of things with the parent, just like real babies. You know, so you have this camera. If I don't put the camera, if I don't parent it to the car will drive off and the camera will still be there. And you'll be like, oh, the car is gone. I want to stay with the car. So therefore, I just parent it. I just take this cardboard and I throw it right on top. And then let's look at it. Oh, not rename it. Let's look at, and unfortunately it is
Go down and throw it on the
far
car
forward.
camera rig.
And then what's that?
Go down and throw it on the car camera rig. Try that.
Yes. Oh, we can. We'll do that too. Excellent. But first, let's position it. So we see the car's here, the camera's here. That is no good. We want to make the camera closer to the car. And what I do, so this is the transform. This is literally the place. Transform is the position in 3D space where that object is, both position and rotation. And I want to make it, right now it's at 6.5 in the X, 0 on the Y, 33 on the Z. I want to make all that 0. I want to make it literally at origin, at the very base of the car. And all I did was I hit that gear right here and I hit reset. And that brought it all back to 0. And I take this gizmo, right? And I just drag it up, drag it like that, and oh, here we have the camera with the car. And what Evan was mentioning was there is a fair amount of complexity in this scene where there's actually a chase camera that that chases the car dynamically. So as the car goes faster, the camera will kind of catch up to it. This might make you nauseous in VR.
Yeah.
So as much as I can tell you that it will, you can do so. I would tell you,
Test out.
I would recommend not doing so. You really want as much linear motion, as much consistent, constant motion as possible.
It's actually a part of the developer. There's a cardboard developer app. And it gives you 10 guidelines. And part of it is having smooth experiences. Nothing too jagged, nothing goes up or down too fast. You use spatial orientation.
Fortunately,
What?
fortunately for him, the engine is not always when he's speaking. But yeah, that is. Please,
so-
what he's mentioning is, yeah, go ahead.
Basically, you want to maintain a smooth camera experience because if you have something too jagged that goes up or down too fast or kind of moves in a way which disorients your space, it's called spatial awareness or spatial orientation. If that gets disrupted, that's what's called sickness. That's disorientation from mind and what your body feels.
Excellent point.
So if you have like
Yeah.
a smooth rig and let's
We
say
will,
you
we'll
want
do
to
that.
stay space, and you can stand there and be like, okay, I'm in this. But if you're going shoo, 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 and your body just stays like this, your mind is going, what the fuck is going on?
Whoa.
Sorry.
So the idea of build and run and all of this is essentially it is all ages, and sometimes curses do happen. It's totally, you didn't even actually hear that. There was that was actually the car engine made a strange sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing now is the same button. We did build and run. So we take this scene and we test it out by hitting play, where the camera, the VR camera, your presence, what you are, it's already working. Well, why is it?
It's already working.
You know what? There are too many cameras. I need to delete the other cameras. And let's try that again. Yeah, so what Evan was mentioning, and we'll get right back to you, sir. But Evan mentioned this, Google started this kind of revolution. Google opened this up to the masses. VR did not start for the masses. VR did not start as a platform for the people, as an affordable, anything. Affordable was not a word in VR initially. And especially the historic VR, where it's like a giant system and you know, game console. VR was expensive. Cardboard said, no, we should make this free. And not only did they make it free, and they developed essentially the prototypes for these unofficial cardboards, which have since surpassed them in quality. They are awesome. I mean, you'll see a difference if you have a regular cardboard and you see this. This is the luxury model.
Just with the
IPT, absolutely. Yeah. So what Google did on top of that, it said that I'll give you the schematics. I will tell you about the lenses. We will give you all of this information so that you can make your own products. That's exactly what Unofficial Cardboard did. Is they said, tell us how you did this, and then we'll make one, and then we'll sell it. And they are the best sellers of this stuff. Google also said after that, after I've given you the keys to the kingdom, we're going to have a bunch of people that are going to nonstop develop and teach. Not really. Yeah, why not teach you? Yeah, teach you. They started making stuff on cardboard and very high quality things. They actually had made first of all, the cardboard app. If you're into VR, if you get the cardboard, download the cardboard app. It has a bunch of cool stuff in it, like a bunch of cool stuff. I can't even go over it now. They also made a design guidelines. So essentially a cardboard VR app that is in VR that teaches you about VR. So what more meta? Like you are in VR, learning about VR. One day this will be the same way. If you build and run, you can learn about VR in VR. But Google started all that, so we cannot take credit. And in this VR design guidelines, in the VR space, they literally show you what is the best practice. What is the distance of a menu item? What is the best way to move around? What is the best way to attract the user's attention? What is the best way to use scale and movement? And one of the quick demos that they have is a roller coaster. A roller coaster where you're going flat consistently, you feel great. A roller coaster where you're going like this and changing momentum, changing the consistency of your movement, don't feel so great. And also what they did was they were